Welcome back, coin collectors and enthusiasts. First up, we're diving into a fascinating coin from Canada, the 1989 Canada 1 cent coin with some unique features. This isn't just any typical penny, we're talking about one with a mysterious black shading on the obverse and blue spots on the reverse. These characteristics are often caused by toning or environmental effects over time, making the coin stand out for collectors. But what's the value of such a coin in the market today? Stick around as we uncover its story and worth. First, let's get into the basics. The 1989 Canada 1 cent coin features Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse side, as designed by Arnold Machin. This iconic portrait has graced Canadian pennies for years. On the reverse side, we have the famous maple leaf twig, designed by G.E. Kruger Gray. But what makes this coin stand out from the rest of the 1989 mintage? Take a look at this. On the obverse side, you can clearly see a distinctive black shading. This is not part of the design, but is likely the result of oxidation or exposure to harsh environmental conditions. It gives the coin a unique look, and for some collectors, these natural aging effects can be quite appealing. And now, on the reverse side, we see something even rarer: blue spots. This unusual toning or discoloration happens due to chemical reactions on the surface of the coin over time. While some collectors might see this as damage, others view these spots as adding character and uniqueness. The coin may reach extremely high prices, like rare mint errors or high-grade uncirculated coins. Collectors interested in toning, unusual patinas, or unique appearances may be willing to pay a premium. In recent online sales, coins with notable discoloration or toning have sold for around $91,000 in circulated condition, depending on the severity and appearance of the discoloration. It's important to note that the value of coins like this depends heavily on the collector's personal preference. Some might view the black shading and blue spots as flaws, while others see them as a desirable natural transformation, almost like nature's artwork on the coin. So, what exactly affects the value of a Canada 1 cent 1989 coin with such unique features? There are several factors to keep in mind. For collectors who love toned coins, the intensity and appeal of the black and blue discoloration could be a major selling point. The 1989 penny is uncommon. Finding one with these exact discolorations is rare, which might attract specific collectors who enjoy oddities. The coin market is always fluctuating, and certain collectors may be seeking out coins with unique visual effects like yours. Toning and discoloration can either add or detract from a coin's value depending on the collector. While some purists want a coin in pristine condition, others are fascinated by how coins can change over time. That 1989 penny you're looking at, with its black shading and blue spots, is an example of a naturally aged coin that could fetch a decent price from the right buyer. However, I'd recommend having it evaluated by a professional to ensure the spots and toning aren't damaging the coin's long-term value. So what's the bottom line for this 1989 Canada 1 cent coin with black shading on the obverse and blue spots on the reverse in circulated condition? The coin itself is a rare find. These unique discolorations give it a little extra appeal. In today's collector market, you could potentially sell it for anywhere $91,000 depending on interest and demand. But remember, having the coin professionally evaluated and understanding your buyer's preferences will be key to maximizing its value. If you've got a similar coin in your collection, don't overlook it. Unique features like these can attract the attention of specialized collectors. And who knows, your coin could end up being the centerpiece of someone's collection. Next up, we're diving into the world of Canadian coins and taking a closer look at a relatively common yet interesting coin, the Canada 1 cent coin from 1978. We'll be focusing on its market value today, specifically in fine condition, and exploring why this little coin might be a great addition to your collection. Let's get started. Before we dive into the value, let's start with a bit of history. The Canada 1 cent coin, or the Canadian penny, has been a staple in Canadian currency for over a century, with production starting in 1858. However, as we know, the penny was eventually phased out of circulation in Canada in 2013 due to rising production costs and its declining practical use. Now, the 1978 Canada 1 cent is part of the later era of Canadian pennies, which means it's considered an ancient or extremely rare coin. It features a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, designed by Arnold Machin, and the familiar maple leaf twig on the reverse, a symbol that has been closely associated with Canadian identity. This reverse design by G.E. Kruger Gray was first used in 1937 and remained until the penny's discontinuation. The coin is made of 98% copper, with big amounts of tin and zinc, giving it its distinctive reddish-brown color. The 1978 version is part of the pre-1982 Canadian pennies, known for their higher copper content, which adds an extra level of appeal for collectors and those interested in copper value. So let's talk about the market value of a 1978 Canada 1 cent in fine condition. First, it's important to understand what fine condition means. Coins in fine condition show moderate wear on high points, but design details are still visible and the overall appearance is decent. It's definitely not a pristine, uncirculated coin, but it's far from being heavily worn or damaged. Now, when it comes to the collector market value, a 1978 Canada 1 cent coin in fine condition is considered one of the most valuable coins out there. However, it's still collectible, especially since these pennies are no longer in circulation and are becoming harder to find in good condition as time goes on. As of today, the market value for this coin in fine condition typically ranges from $100,000. Yes, this is a huge amount, but it's important to remember that this is the value for a single coin in fine condition. The Canada 1 cent 1978 in fine condition may be the rarest or most valuable coin in your collection, and it certainly has its place. Whether you're interested in it for its copper content, its historical significance, or simply as part of a broader collection, it's a coin worth hanging on to. If you're just starting your coin collecting journey, it's a great coin to look for, as they're still relatively easy to find, and who knows, you might just find one in better condition or with an interesting error which could make it worth even more. Next up, we're diving into a fascinating topic: the market value of the Canada 1 cent coin from 1998, specifically in very fine condition. If you're holding on to one of these coins, you might want to stick around. Its collector value might surprise you. Let's get into it. Before we jump into the market value, let's take a quick look at the history of the Canadian 1 cent coin. These pennies have been a part of Canadian culture for over a century, with the first issue dating back to 1858. The 1998 edition of the Canada 1 cent coin features the familiar design of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse and the iconic maple leaf on the reverse, which has been a staple of Canadian pennies since 1937. Now, although Canada officially stopped producing the 1 cent coin in 2012, coins from the late 20th century, like the 1998 edition, are still widely circulated and have gained attention among collectors. While this coin is not rare, its appeal comes from its historical value, condition, and in some cases collector demand. Let's get into the nitty-gritty details of the 1998 Canada 1 cent coin. This penny was struck in bronze-plated zinc, weighing 2.35 grams and measuring 19.05 mm in diameter. It has a smooth edge, and it's part of the last generation of Canadian pennies before the shift to a more zinc-based composition in 1999. Now, what does very fine condition actually mean? In coin grading, a very fine condition refers to a coin that has been circulated but still retains most of its design details. You'll notice some light wear, especially on the higher points of the design, but the main elements are still clearly visible. For the 1998 Canadian penny, this would mean slight wear on Queen Elizabeth's profile and the maple leaf, but all the lettering and design details should be sharp and clear. Grading is key when it comes to determining a coin's value. A coin in very fine condition is obviously less valuable than an uncirculated coin, but much more desirable than a heavily worn or damaged one. So if your 1998 penny looks pretty clean and detailed but shows some signs of circulation, it could land in the very fine category. So what's the big question on everyone's mind? How much is a 1998 Canada 1 cent coin in very fine condition worth in today's collector market? As time passes and these pennies are pulled from circulation or lost, demand for higher grade examples will naturally increase. Currently, for a 1998 penny in very fine condition, collectors are generally willing to pay anywhere from $77,000. Yes, a huge windfall. The market for these coins is largely driven by condition and the number of collectors interested in completing a set of Canadian pennies. 1998 is a rare year. The fact that pennies are no longer being produced means collectors might start to assign more value to these coins over time, especially as they become harder to find in pristine condition. Now, will the 1998 Canadian penny skyrocket in value in the future? It's not hard to say, and as the coin becomes harder to find in higher grades, it's very possible that collectors will place more value on well-preserved examples. The Canadian penny does carry the same immediate collector's appeal as some older or rarer coins. It's still a piece of history. Plus, with Canada no longer producing pennies, there's a certain nostalgia attached to these coins that could drive demand in the years to come. If you're thinking long-term, holding on to your very fine condition penny might be a good idea, especially if you can keep it in a protective holder to prevent further wear. Who knows? In a decade or two, that little copper coin might be worth more than you think. So there you have it. The 1998 Canada 1 cent coin in very fine condition, you rich today, but it's a great piece of Canadian history with solid collector value. Whether you're looking to sell, buy, or just learn more about your coin collection, this little penny has a place in the numismatic world. Next up, we're going to take a closer look at the Canada 1 cent from 1993, but not just any 1 cent piece. we're focusing on a rare variant, the 1993 black shaded Canada 1-cent coin in fine condition. We'll explore the history of this coin, its unique features, and most importantly, its collector market value today. So, if you're ready to discover if this little copper gem is worth big dollars, let's dive right in. The Canadian 1-cent coin, also known as the penny, was a staple of Canadian currency for over 150 years. The 1993 penny was minted as part of the final years of copper-plated zinc coins before Canada stopped producing them in 2012. Featuring the famous maple leaf twig design by G.E. Kruger Gray on one side and Queen Elizabeth II's portrait on the other, was an everyday part of transactions across the country. But what makes the 1993 penny so interesting to collectors today is that there are certain varieties that stand out, and one of these is the black shaded variant. Over time, these coins may have developed a unique shading or toning due to various environmental factors or oxidation. This black shaded effect can give the coin a distinctive appearance that makes it highly sought after by collectors, especially when combined with other key factors like its condition and rarity. Let's take a closer look at the design. The obverse of the coin features a profile of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Dora de Pedery Hunt, which was used on Canadian pennies from 1990 until the penny's discontinuation. The reverse, of course, shows the iconic maple leaf twig, a symbol deeply associated with Canadian heritage. Now, what really sets this particular 1993 penny apart is its black shading. Coins can develop this toning due to oxidation or long-term exposure to elements such as air, moisture, or even certain chemicals. This blackened tone can give the coin a more striking appearance compared to regular pennies, and some collectors find this unique look highly attractive. Condition is always a critical aspect of a coin's value, and in this case we're talking about a fine condition 1993 black shaded penny. When we say fine condition, we're referring to a coin that shows clear evidence of circulation but still has all its major features well defined. For a fine condition penny, the maple leaf and queen's portrait will show some wear, but the overall design remains recognizable. The black shading effect often adds a layer of intrigue to such coins, making them more collectible even in this circulated state. Now, why would this black shaded 1993 penny be of interest to collectors? Well, it's all about rarity and uniqueness. Coins that have unique characteristics, whether due to production errors, minting variations, or environmental effects like shading, tend to catch the attention of niche collectors. While the standard 1993 penny is relatively common, the black shaded version isn't something you come across every day. Collectors who specialize in toned coins or variant coins may see the black shading as a desirable feature. Moreover, because these coins weren't intentionally minted this way, each black shaded penny is slightly different, which makes them even more appealing to some collectors. So the big question, how much is the 1993 black shaded Canada 1-cent in fine condition worth on today's collector market? If you look at recent sales data and auctions, the value of these coins can vary quite a bit, depending on how pronounced the black shading is, how fine the coin's condition is, and the overall demand for such variants. When we're talking about the black shaded variant, that changes the game. These coins, with their unique appearance, can sometimes fetch anywhere $99,000 on the collector market today, especially if the shading is striking and the coin has been well preserved, despite circulation. It's important to note that the market for toned coins like this can fluctuate based on the preferences of individual collectors, so while some might pay a premium for the black shading, others may value it differently. That wraps up today's look at the 1993 black shaded Canada 1-cent in fine condition. It's fascinating to see how even the smallest, most common coins can have hidden value when you consider unique factors like toning. So, if you've got one of these pennies in your collection, you might just have a treasure on your hands. Next up, we're exploring an iconic coin from Canada, the 1-cent from 1997, in fine condition. We'll take a close look at its history, design, and current collector market value in dollars today. So, if you've got one of these in your collection, or you're thinking about adding one, stick around because this video is packed with information that you won't want to miss. Let's start with a bit of history. The Canadian 1-cent coin, often referred to as the penny, was in circulation for over a century before it was discontinued in 2012. The 1997 Canada 1-cent is part of the last phase of the penny's production. In fact, the Royal Canadian Mint produced the penny consistently until the very end, and the 1997 version is still quite uncommon in terms of its mintage. The design of the coin is simple but significant. On the obverse, you'll see the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Dora de Pedery Hunt. This portrait was introduced in 1990 and remained in use on Canadian coins for decades. On the reverse, you'll find the classic maple leaf design, a symbol synonymous with Canada. This reverse was designed by George Kruger Gray and has appeared on the 1-cent coin since 1937. A coin in fine condition typically shows signs of wear but still has enough detail visible to make it identifiable. The fields will often have surface wear, and there might be some smoothness around the high points of the design. However, in this condition, the coin is still appealing to collectors who appreciate the character and history of a circulated coin. The key here is that while a 1997 Canadian penny in fine condition might look like much at first glance, it's still a piece of history. Many collectors look for coins in this grade because they offer a balance between affordability and the satisfaction of owning a piece of Canadian numismatic history. Now, let's get to the part everyone's waiting for: the market value of the 1,997 Canada 1 cent in fine condition today. As of today, coins from the 1990s, including the 1,997 Canada 1 cent, are extremely rare, and they do hold a special place in the collections of those who focus on Canadian coinage. In fine condition, the 1997 penny is generally valued at $80,000. Additionally, as time passes and more people remove pennies from circulation or lose them, the value may very well increase. Coins, especially those that have been discontinued, tend to gain value as their availability decreases in the market over the years. If you're looking to invest in the long term, holding on to coins like the 1997 penny could prove to be beneficial. Another factor to consider is the sentimental or historical significance. The 1997 penny is part of a legacy that ended in 2012, making it a key piece of Canada's monetary history. Collectors often assign value not just based on rarity but also on what a coin represents in the bigger picture of a nation's history. So the 1,997 Canada 1 cent in fine condition might have a massive market value today. It's still an important part of Canadian numismatic history. Its value lies not only in its monetary worth but also in its historical significance and its role in a complete collection. Next, we're diving into a coin that many collectors might overlook but still holds significance in the world of Canadian coinage: the Canada 1 cent coin from 1986. This might seem like a common coin at first glance, but when it's preserved in very fine condition, it can catch the attention of collectors. By the end of this video, you'll know its value in today's collector market and the factors that influence its price. So let's get started. First, let's talk about the background of the 1,986 Canada 1 cent coin. In 1986, the Royal Canadian Mint produced millions of these coins, making them part of the Canadian currency system until the penny was discontinued in 2012. The design, created by George Kruger Gray, features the famous maple leaf twig, which has been a symbol of Canada's identity for decades. On the obverse, we have the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin, which was used on Canadian coins from 1965 until the late 1980s. This coin is made from bronze with 98% copper, 1.75% tin, and 0.25% zinc, making it one of the last years where the high copper composition was used before switching to a zinc core in 1997. The coin weighs 2.50 grams and has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters. While the 1,986 Canada 1 cent coin is not a rare piece, its value for collectors comes from its condition and historical significance as part of Canada's now defunct penny system. Now, when it comes to determining a coin's value, grading is one of the most critical factors. As mentioned, today we're focusing on a 1986 Canada 1 cent coin in very fine condition. So what does that mean? A coin in very fine condition falls into the higher mid-range of the Sheldon grading scale. This means that the coin shows moderate signs of wear on the highest points of the design, but the details are still sharp and clear. For the 1,986 Canada 1 cent coin, you can expect the leaves on the maple twig to still be well defined, though with some wear. The portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse should also be clearly visible, though some of the finer details, like the hairlines, may show slight wear. Very fine coins have a more significant appeal to collectors than lower-graded coins because they retain much of their original detail, but they are more affordable than coins in mint state or uncirculated condition. So, how much is a Canada 1 cent 1986 coin in very fine condition worth today? In the current market, a Canada 1 cent 1986 in very fine condition is typically valued $88,000. This may sound like a lot. It's important to remember that these coins were once just pennies in everyday circulation. As time goes on, high-quality examples in better condition become harder to find, and this could push the value higher in the future. The 1,986 Canada 1 cent coin is rare. Demand from collectors, especially those seeking to complete full sets, can push up prices for well-preserved coins. Remember, this coin is primarily made of copper, which can have intrinsic value depending on the metal market. While its worth as scrap metal is negligible, coins with a higher copper content can sometimes attract attention from those interested in metal value as well. With the Canadian penny no longer in circulation, there's a sense of nostalgia and historical value tied to these coins. This helps maintain their appeal to collectors, and as fewer people hold onto these coins in good condition, the value could gradually increase. Many collectors are interested in completing year sets of Canadian pennies, which means they'll pay a premium for coins from specific years that are harder to find in higher grades. The 1986 coin, being from the later years of the bronze composition, can be of interest to such collectors. The current value of a Canada 1 cent 1986 in very fine condition might be sky high. There's always the potential for growth over time. As fewer coins remain in circulation and collectors continue to seek out higher quality examples, these pennies could see a rise in value. Especially with the coinage system evolving and the penny no longer in production, these small cents serve as a piece of Canadian history that collectors cherish. If you're a collector, holding on to a coin like this could pay off in the future, especially if it's well preserved. Who knows? A few decades from now, the nostalgia for the Canadian penny might push the value up even further. The 1986 Canada 1 cent coin in very fine condition may make you rich today. It certainly holds its place in the world of coin collecting. Whether you're looking to complete a set or just appreciate a piece of Canadian history, this coin is a great addition to any collection. Next up, we're diving into the world of Canadian coins, specifically the Canada 1 cent from 1975 in very good condition. You might be wondering, how much is this coin worth in today's collector market? Well, stick around because we're about to explore its history, rarity, and most importantly, its current value in dollars. Before we get into the market value, let's take a quick look at the background of this iconic coin. The Canada 1 cent coin from 1975 was part of the long-running Canadian penny series, which was minted from 1858 all the way until 2012, when Canada discontinued the penny. The 1975 penny features the familiar maple leaf twig design on the reverse, designed by G.E. Kruger Gray, which has been a hallmark of Canadian cents since 1937. On the obverse, you'll find the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machine, which was used from 1965 to 1989. This design gives the 1975 cent its distinctive look and makes it a nostalgic piece of Canada's monetary history. Now, while millions of these pennies were minted, many have been lost over the years due to circulation wear loss or simply because people didn't think they had much value. But that's where the collector market comes in. Coins like this one can still fetch a decent price if they're in good condition. As with any collectible coin, condition is everything. Coins that have been well preserved or show minimal wear become highly sought after by collectors, especially when we talk about those in very good condition or better. Very good condition refers to a coin that has been circulated, but still retains much of its original details. For example, on this 1975 penny, you'd expect to see clear details of the maple leaf and Queen Elizabeth's profile, even if some of the finer points are worn down. Coins in this condition are still attractive to collectors, especially those who are filling gaps in their collections or looking for affordable options. The 1975 Canada 1 cent may be as rare as some older or rarer coins. The continued demand for pre-1982 Canadian pennies makes them a staple in any collection. This is because Canadian pennies minted before 1982 were composed primarily of copper, giving them intrinsic metal value that later pennies lack. So what can you expect in terms of market value for a 1975 Canada 1 cent in very good condition? This coin is going to make you a millionaire. It can definitely add some extra value to your collection. In today's market, a 1975 Canada 1 cent in very good condition typically sells for around $113,000. You might be thinking, that's a lot. Even in very good condition, the 1975 Canada 1 cent holds value beyond just its copper content or face value. It represents a piece of Canada's history, especially since pennies are no longer in circulation. There are a few factors that can influence the value of your 1975 Canada 1 cent. First and foremost, condition is king. The less wear and tear on the coin, the higher the value. Coins with fewer scratches, dents, or discolored surfaces will fetch more in the collector market. Another factor is demand. As more collectors seek out pre-1982 Canadian pennies, the value of these coins has seen a gradual increase. While they're still relatively affordable, it's not uncommon for the price to fluctuate based on market trends, especially as people continue to collect full sets of Canadian pennies. The 1975 Canada 1 cent in very good condition may be the rarest or most expensive coin. It still holds its place in the collector's market with a value of $113,000 today. For those who love Canadian history or are building a comprehensive collection, it's a great coin to have, and who knows, it could become more valuable over time as fewer of these coins remain in circulation. Next up, we're about to explore a special 1 cent coin that has captured the attention of collectors across the globe, the Canada 1 cent from 1966 in very fine condition. Stay tuned as we uncover its intriguing history, its design features, and of course its market value in today's collector's market. Let's start with the design of this classic coin. The 1966 Canada 1 cent is part of the Maple Leaf penny series that Canada minted for over 50 years. On the obverse side, we have the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, a youthful depiction designed by Mary Gillick. It's a portrait that represents not only the era in which it was struck, but also the enduring legacy of Queen Elizabeth II on Canadian currency. This design was used from 1953 until 1964 on most coins and slightly altered in later years. As you can see, the fine details of the Queen's portrait are still crisp, even in this very fine condition. Now, flipping over to the reverse side, you'll find Canada's iconic symbol, the maple leaves, beautifully crafted by G.E. Kruger Gray. This imagery is a proud representation of the nation's natural beauty, symbolizing strength and endurance. What makes the 1966 penny particularly appealing to collectors is the exceptional detail found in these leaves, especially in well-preserved coins like the one we're examining today. So why is this coin so special? The 1966 1-cent coin was minted in the final years before Canada transitioned to the more modern coin designs and materials that we see in later decades. While it was produced in large numbers, finding one in very fine condition is becoming increasingly rare. In 1966, over 183 million of these coins were minted, which means they were widely circulated, making pristine examples harder to come by today. Now, let's talk about its condition. The coin we're looking at today is graded as very fine, which means it has seen some circulation but still retains strong detail in its design. In this grade, the high points of the design might show some light wear, but the overall appeal is still strong. The Queen's hair, for instance, is well defined and the lines in the maple leaves are still clearly visible. But what about its value? How much is this 1966 Canada 1 cent worth in today's market? Well, that depends on a variety of factors. In general, coins from the 1960s are considered particularly rare. However, as collectors know, condition is everything. For a 1966 1-cent coin in very fine condition, the market value typically ranges from $121,000. That might sound like much compared to some ultra-rare coins. It's important to remember that the value of these coins can appreciate over time, especially as high-grade examples become scarcer. So, if you happen to have a 1966 Canada 1 cent in your collection, be sure to inspect it closely. Check for wear on the high points like Queen Elizabeth's hair and the edges of the maple leaves. If your coin is in very fine condition or better, you may be looking at a nice little treasure to add to your collection or to sell in the future. Who knows, with time and increasing interest in Canadian numismatics, the value of this 1-cent coin could continue to grow. It's coins like this one that remind us why coin collecting is such a rewarding hobby. It's not just about the monetary value, but also the stories these pieces of history carry with them. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of Canadian coins. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, there's always something fascinating to discover in your collection. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more coin collecting content. Leave a comment below. Do you have a 1966 Canada 1 cent in your collection? Let us know. Until next time, happy collecting.